Today's video is going to cover the rules of social interaction. In deaf culture, it's very common to hug when you introduce. Let's say you're out at a party, you would hug, and then as you're going to leave, typically you would hug again. Now we're very blunt. For example, let's say you see somebody and man, they've gained a lot of weight, and you would say, wow, you've gotten fat. And the response may be, yeah, well, I'm lazy, or I've got sick. And that's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not rude. That's just our culture. Pointing. We typically will point, so we know what we're looking at. Let's say there's a gathering of a group of deaf people and it's time to go, and you say, oh, it's time for me to go, and you keep chatting and keep chatting and you keep chatting, and it's time to go, and then you finally leave the building and you talk outside, you talk in the parking lot, you get in your car and you're still talking through the window, and finally you leave. We call that Deaf Standard Time, or DST. There's a lot of things that you need to know about deaf community. That's could be shocking if you weren't introduced to it. Let's say two deaf individuals are talking and you need to go through their line of sight. And you don't need to say, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I gotta pass by. Just walk on by. Just walk right through. My take on the issue, I'm sure there's other takes on it, but sometimes somebody will just stand right in the middle and you say, excuse me, can you get out of the way? And then by the time they move, you forget what you were talking about. Do you need to make a big movement or going around or ducking under? No, just walk right through and their conversation will not be impeded. And how to get the attention of deaf people? There's several ways. You could tap them on the shoulder. If it's a child, of course, they'll tap you on the hip or the tummy. They may pull on your shirt. Let's say you're at a table and you want to get the attention of the person across the table. You may bang on the table. You may stomp the foot and get that vibration to the other person from the floor, depending on the flooring. Some carry that better than others. Maybe a flashlight to get somebody's attention. Or the overhead lights. You turn on the switch off and on to get the attention. Remember, we're dependent on our eyes for our attention. Let's say we have a locked door or a closed door. Let's say you're a deaf person's in an office and they're alone and somebody's knocking on the door, banging on the door. The deaf person in the office may not feel it. So how do you get their attention? One way you can do that is slide a piece of paper under and move it around. And then you could get their attention that way, because we are always getting that attention from our visual. You could throw a wadded up piece of paper towards this individual. I mean, you wouldn't want to throw it at their body, but that's one way to get their attention. There are so many different ways.